we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Weisrock, and I'm an associate professor in the biology department here at UK. And we're going to take a few minutes here just to introduce a little bit of the research that goes on in our lab, in particular with the focus on graduate training. So the first thing that I would like to point out is that we have a very broad range of participation in the lab. This highlights graduate education. We have two PhDs in the lab right now, Mariah and Mary. We also have postdocs that train in our lab, Doctors Levi Gray and Katie Everson. And our lab is a steady provider of research opportunities to undergraduates who are interested in our work. And so on this call today, we have Carly and Zoe. And so we're all here to help give you a little bit of a view of what things are like in the Weisrock Lab. And I'm gonna have the lab help us out here with a little bit of information. So we've got some questions that are gonna be posed to me, and I'm gonna turn it over to Mary to ask the first one.
Dave Weisrock, what is your main research interest?
Well, we cover a really wide range of research in our lab. And this covers everything from very macroevolutionary projects interested in deep phylogenetic relationships on one end of the spectrum over to the other side of things where we study fine-scale population genetic variation within species. So for example, we have a number of projects that are focused on the phylogenetic systematics of organisms. Katie's working on one project right now. Katie, you want to give us a quick overview?
Yeah, I'm Katie Everson. I'm a postdoc, and I'm working on this highly collaborative project on lemur phylogenomics. So we're working with scientists here in the US and also in Europe and Madagascar to do sort of like deep time evolutionary history of lemurs with maybe a little bit of more fine scale phylogenetic type stuff. And yeah, this is a really cool project that I'm very excited to be working on.
Awesome. In addition to more deeper scale phylogenetics, we also have a lot of research in the lab that is probing the drivers of microbiome community composition in organisms and the potential ecological and evolutionary factors that structure microbiomes. Both Mary and Mariah work on projects in this area in very disparate organisms. Mariah, do you want to tell us about some of your work in lemurs?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Mariah. I'm a fourth year PhD candidate. And so my work takes place mainly in Madagascar. And so I go into the field and collect fecal samples from a wide range of lemurs to try and understand the ecological, evolutionary, and dietary drivers of microbiome composition. That's it.
Awesome. And then one of the more fledgling projects and research areas that we've started to explore are the microeukaryotic components of the microbiomes. And both Carly and Zoe actually have one of our first projects and papers in development right now in this area. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about microeukaryotes?
Yeah, so most gut microbiome research focuses on the prokaryotic aspects such as bacteria, but our research takes a more unique view in that we're focusing on microeukaryotes such as protists and fungi. In order to study these host microbe relationships, we're zooming in on the lemur gut microbiome.
Yeah, and the patterning of gut microeukaryotes, like Mariah said, can reflect aspects of lemur ecology and evolution. So we're hoping to apply this to lemur conservation initiatives.
So that's a sample of things that we work on. We have covered a wide range of organisms in our work in our lab. We study the population genomics of lady beetles in some projects. We have projects focused on the population structure dynamics of freshwater mussels, as well as their microbiomes. And who knows what else might come to the lab in the coming years. And that's one of the things that we like to do, is to give graduate students an opportunity to think about the questions that they're interested in and identify the right study system in which to apply their work.
We do a lot in salamanders too, Dave. Did you mention?
I can't believe that I skipped over that. Yeah, so actually we've got a really great project that's coming to completion here that Levi Gray has been one of the main drivers of in tiger salamander population genomics.
Yeah, so several of us here and some others that have moved on were involved in looking at life history characteristics of tiger salamanders, mostly with pedomorphy and pedomorphic traits, and how that plays into the divergence of populations and speciation in the group.
Can't believe I was underselling salamanders. All right, Mary, how about another question for me?
What do you like most about the UK biology department?
Oh man, well, I think the number one thing I enjoy about it is being in a department that has such diverse research interests. So we are a primarily evolutionary biology lab with a lot of focus on field biology and genomics, but we interact with people studying everything from regenerative biology to chronobiology to the mathematics of evolutionary ecological questions. So being in a department with such diversity like that is extremely stimulating, and I think provides a great opportunity for our graduate students to get exposure to a lot of unique aspects of biological research. Anybody else have something that they really like about UK biology department? Ooh, I put them on
Back
the spot.
before COVID, people were really social. We had a good happy hour every week, and I think the BGSA is active, and I like this department for that reason.
Yeah, that I could make a long list of things I love, and certainly the colleagues and the energy and the interaction, both collegially and socially, is really awesome. And the graduate
Also,
students,
Kentucky's kind of fun.
it is. Most people don't know that until they come here. Mary, what's another question you got for me?
How do you interact with your graduate students in the lab in a typical week?
Well, I like to think that I take a hands-off approach that also makes myself available whenever people need me. But in general, I meet with graduate students on a somewhat regular basis. When things are really hopping and there's a lot going on, it's probably weekly. And when graduate students are really kind of deep into their work, it might be stretched out to something a little bit more on the every 2 weeks or every 3-week basis. I take the hands-off approach because I want to give people freedom and flexibility to work at the pace that meets their needs and their situation. But I do emphasize making myself available whenever people need my help.
Okay, last question.
Yes.
What does your lab do for fun?
Well, the last 9 months has been difficult, but we still make a point of getting together every week for lab meetings. I don't know if that's fun or not. Historically, I think we have fun, but historically we've been a very social lab. We've done everything from, DIY pizza parties here at my house to sitting around the fire pit. Traveling for conferences together has always been a lot of fun, where we get to bond and have time together. Generally, we're a very social lab, and I believe we tend to get along well with each other. Sometimes it might be just sitting around and having a sip of bourbon or a beer together. Other times we may be spending time with larger groups. The Weisrock Lab is part of what we call the Super Lab, which combines our lab with Dr. Catherine Lennon's group. And we do quite a few social events with them over the year. And then we participate in a lot of the general biology department aspects of happy hours and other organized events. I think we have fun. So, all right. Well, I think that we'll leave it at that for now. I want to thank the lab here for all participating on this event, so I get to talk about the lab with you. And if you have any questions about the work that we do or who we are as a group, please send us an email and let us know. Bye, everybody.